Will you join me in our call to worship, please? We are a justice-making, truth-seeking people. We share a reverence for the mystery of life. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning, Birmingham Unitarian Church.
Good morning.
Oh, we can do better than that. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to be together again. Whether you are joining us here in the sanctuary, remotely via Zoom, or watching this recording later, it's good to connect with you. As a multi-platform church, it is important for us to build a bridge between online and in-person participants. We're calling this connection opportunity Greeting Our Virtual Neighbors. First, we will project an image of the folks who are currently on Zoom up here on the screen and ask them to turn their cameras on and give us a wave. Hello, good morning everyone on Zoom. Now, we who are gathered in person will turn to face the camera in the back of the sanctuary and give them a wave. Whenever and however we connect with BUC, we are building, whenever and however we connect with BUC, we are building BUC. At home, on campus, in the world, every day, we are Birmingham Unitarian Church, and we are building the beloved community. We join with other Unitarian Universalists around the world as we light our chalice. We light this flame to represent our liberal religion, a religion that stands for freedom and tolerance, a religion that believes in the full use of reason, a religion that offers hope that we can make the world better.
Today's worship service is about being good enough. Good enough. This time of year is just full of messaging about who, what, and how we're supposed to be, and most of us fall short of those ideals. And I personally am tired of it. So today we're going to talk about how we're good enough. I'd like to offer up an alternative idea that perhaps we are meant to be ourselves, rather than these images that are put out to the world. And that is, in fact, good enough.
As we move into this holiday season with all of its challenges and delights, and as we begin a new year when many of us decide to set resolutions that we may or may not see to the end, I thought I would send you off with a set of affirmations for you to say to yourself every day, or as often as you'd like, a reminder of the joy and happiness that you bring to the world. And I figured it might not hurt to have a refresher of our ABCs. So each time, if you go ahead and change the slide, each time I say one of these affirmations, I invite you to repeat after me and embody these affirmations as I do. So first off, I am awesome.
I am awesome.
I am brave.
I am brave.
I am confident.
I am confident.
I am dynamic.
I am dynamic.
I am enough.
I am enough.
Let's see what else. Now, I thought maybe we could get some input for our BUC affirmations on a positive adjective for us to use here. So does anybody have any suggestions for a positive affirmation? Fabulous, fun-loving, fantastic, fulfilled. Ooh, wow, there's a lot of good things here. So I'm gonna have to thank you for all that positivity. All right. Well, we're going to add that in later, but for now, you know what? I heard fulfilling, and I like that. So let's go ahead and say all together, I am fulfilling. Great. Let's keep on going and say, I am generous. I am honest. I am important. I am joyful. Let's see. Oh, well, we got a few more blanks here. I wonder what we're going to have to fill in. So, but we've got a couple things to say first. So, I am kind. I am loved. I am mindful. All right, so we have an N and an O. which, yeah, that spells no, but we're going to change that to something positive, right? So what about N? What can we fill in for N? Nurturing. Ooh, nice. Nice is great too, but I figured, that's kind of an easy one. So I like nurturing, so let's say it all together. I am nurturing. What about O? Optimistic. How about that? All right, writing that one down for later. All together, I am optimistic. All right, let's see what else. Here's a new one. Maybe new, but I am pluralistic. Now, does anybody know what pluralistic means or have a suggestion for what it might mean? What do you think, Dominic? Say that one more time.
It means you use plurals a lot when typing on the keyboard.
That's a really good guess. Now, kind of true, right? But I'm thinking of a slightly different definition. Does anybody else have any other guesses? Yes, exactly. So, it means as Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, theology, and experience. So let's say it again one more time all together. I am pluralistic. All right, now we can repeat after me. I am asking questions. I am resilient. I am strong. Now, when we embody this, touch the part of your body where you feel strength. Your head, your heart, your arms. One more time. I am strong. Awesome. All right, got a few more. I am thoughtful. I am understanding. I am valuable. I am worthy. I am extraordinary. All right. So, all together now. Yes, I can. Regardless of where you are or how you connect with the BUC community, you are all of these things and more. So one more time. I am all of these things, and I can Zoom to church. So we'll post these affirmations on the BUC Facebook page later for you to come back to, and we'll put in our suggestions for our filled in blanks as well. So remember these affirmations, or you can decide to create your own. Try to say them out loud to yourself every day. Stand in front of a mirror and witness yourself saying these things. The most powerful affirmations are those that you say out loud when you're in front of the mirror. The mirror reflects back to you your feelings about yourself, that you have about yourself. And it makes you immediately aware of where you're resisting and where you're open and flowing. As you continue to say these affirmations, you'll become much more aware of the words that you say and the things that you do. You'll learn to take care of yourself on a deeper level than you've done before. So at this time, we're going to have our K through 5th graders meet us at the back of the sanctuary to head off to class.
The mission of Birmingham Unitarian Church is to be a free and welcoming religious community that encourages lives of integrity, learning, service, and joy. One way we live out this mission is by giving half our weekly offering to a nonprofit organization that shares our values and addresses needs in one of these areas: environmental action, economic justice, civic engagement, and racial justice. We support a new organization each month. I'm sorry, this has November. What is December? Welcome in. Okay. Our recipient for December is Welcome In. Welcome In is run by South Oakland Citizens for the Homeless and is the only daytime shelter for unhoused people in Oakland County. It is in full operation from December to March, providing guests with a warm place to spend the day, hot lunches, clothing, social services, and health visits. Additionally, Welcome In is a low-barrier shelter, which means anyone seeking shelter is accepted without requirements such as a background check or photo ID. Let there be an offering in support of our beloved community and organizations that build the world we dream about. This morning's offering will now be received with gratitude. Ushers, please come forward. Come forward, please. I don't know about you, but that song always makes me want to catch snowflakes on my tongue. All right. We are a church of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. With gratitude, we dedicate this offering to the good works of our congregation and dedicate ourselves to its service.
It's always the hardest part for a new worship associate. Can we hear it for Julia's debut as a worship associate? We come to the time in our service that we set aside for spiritual practices of centering and prayer. We begin with a sharing of joys and sorrows from our congregation. We start with a joy from Jane O'Neill. Jane says, "It was with great pleasure and much gratitude for me that several angels helped get gifts ready for delivery to Walt Whitman School. Last week, I had help wrapping and bagging upwards of 75 gifts for 19 children from 5 families. Wrapping paper and ribbons were also donated toward the effort." She continues that the angels were Drika DeGraff, Ann Braid, Paula Olson, Sarah Constantakis, and Kim Worth. Thank you again. She concludes, "You are all what makes BUC, BUC." We also have a joy from Gloria Abrams. Gloria shares, "My new grandbaby is here. Josephine arrived December 10th. She and her mother are doing well. Congratulations to Gloria and family. We had one additional submission online that was too close to the heart of the submitter to be shared, but I want to acknowledge that that was received. I also want to acknowledge that all of us carry joys and sorrows on our hearts that might be a little too close to share. On the fourth Sunday of every month, we typically light candles to remember those who have died in that month or in that year. The fourth Sunday of this month, however, is Christmas, and there will be no church, so we'll light memorial candles today. You are welcome to light a candle for anyone whom you are remembering this day or any concern that is on your heart. As you light your candle, you are invited to say the name of who you remember or any concern you have. You're invited to come forward along this aisle here, light a candle. Please place it as close to the back of the basin as possible, then return to your seat. We'll begin with lighting a candle from our chalice for the ones who are remembered by those who are joining us on Zoom. As we come further into this holiday season, we bring with us a lifetime full of anticipation and a lifetime full of disappointment. We bring with us everyone we've known and loved and lost. It's during this time of year that feels most acute for a lot of us. As we continue on towards the solstice, these last days of deepest darkness, let's be held close in the arms of community, be held close in love. May the memories that join us be ones of goodness, ones of happiness. Soon we will see that the light always returns, that there is always a spring after a winter. Let's enjoy the time that we have in the darkness and in the closeness. Let's be present to this moment, and let us find comfort when and where we need it. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
My reading today is by Rebecca Ann Parker. It's called Choose to Bless the World. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hunger, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question. What will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. There's an embrace of kindness that encompasses all life, even yours. And while there is injustice, anesthetization, or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting that which is sacred will not be defiled. Those who bless the world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the championship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith. The life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting.
I think today's second reading will be familiar to many of us. This is Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. All right, well, that was a good thing to play right then, Myra, because we're about to have a 5-minute review of all of Western philosophy, so get ready. Here we go. One of the oldest questions of our species is, what is the essential nature of humanity? We want to know. We are curious about and we are uncertain about our place in the cosmic order. So we are obsessed with this question. Are we good? Are we bad? We don't know. Are we inherently good? Probably not. All apologies to Jean-Jacques Rousseau, but history gives us a lot of evidence to the contrary. And a little tip of the hat to Reinhold Niebuhr here, who said that sin is an historical fact. If humanity was essentially good, our history would not be a patchwork of war, oppression, genocide. It's the holidays. We don't have to dwell on it, but you get the point. We're probably not inherently good because we don't have the evidence to support that claim. So then, is it possible that we were once good in a mythopoetic land before there was history, and then somebody messed up, and now we're all bad? I will give that a resounding no. That idea has been popular for centuries, but it is just an idea. It's an effective idea. It's good at keeping people in their place, particularly women who are somehow blamed for that sin, and the poor who are told that the sweat of their brow is required as recompense. It's convenient. It creates a tight philosophical system, but the machinations of power and control are glaring. Besides, the idea of original sin only makes any kind of sense in a Christian context, and what we're after as Unitarian Universalists is something that applies to the whole of humanity. So, what is it then? Are we only ever good because we've been trained to be good? My son Bowen recently read Lord of the Flies for English class, and I was reminded of my own experience of reading that book when I was in high school. I was pretty sure that if I was stranded on a remote island without adults, the kids around me would definitely go feral. The kids around me would go feral, not me. I was good. I like rules. I wanted to be Jack, but deep down I knew I'd be a piggy for sure, freaking out about trichinosis. I got glasses and everything. I knew I'd be piggy. That book is one illustration of Aristotle's idea that humanity is only moral because we're taught to be moral. And that idea tends to gain popularity in societies that are repressive, leading to a course correction of some kind. Some of you might know something about the last major countercultural movement that took place in this nation in the late 1960s and the early 70s. I'm not pointing fingers, but I think some of you know. Yeah. When people feel that the rules of society are too tight, they lift up this idea that all morality is a social construct and a movement towards freedom begins. But I don't find the belief that humanity is naturally amoral totally satisfying because there are no successful large-scale experiments of anarchy to which I can point. Whither the communes of the 60s and 70s? There have also been several Unitarian and Universalist attempts at egalitarian utopian societies. Given the chance to live without an externally imposed morality, people have always created a system of morality that they then impose upon each other, or they default to a previous system. Can we be inherently amoral if we inherently crave structures of morality? I am not convinced. Many Unitarian Universalists cherish the concept of free will. We like this idea. We tend to be most comfortable with the blank moral slate ideas of John Locke and then later Sigmund Freud. The idea is that we are born with capacities for good and for evil, and that we have free will to decide what we will do. UUs often take this a step further by thinking about our capacity to bring more good or more evil into the world. This is what we heard in the work of Rebecca Ann Parker that Julia shared earlier. I think I just called you Julianne. Sorry, that's your new name. Sorry. Me too. The idea that we have the ability to choose our own place in the cosmic order as agents of good or evil is inherited from both sides of the UU house. From our Unitarian forebears, we shake off the idea that we are inherently corrupted and instead embrace the idea of an individual divine spark within us that we can cultivate and we can develop throughout our lives. From our universalist forebears, we have the concept of universal salvation, that all people across all space and time are included in the project of salvation. The Unitarians and the Universalists were both Christians, and their ideas have to be understood within that context. They were talking back to those theologies of total depravity and original sin, and showing them to be flawed. Modern Unitarian Universalism, which has expanded beyond those original progressive Christian roots into a pluralist religion. I forgot Shannon was going to teach you that earlier. Good. I'll skip the next sentence. A pluralist religion has expanded these ideas even further. We owe a debt of gratitude to our forebears who challenged those toxic, damaging doctrines of original sin and total depravity that are still widely embraced today. And I think we owe it to them and to ourselves and to those who are still yet to come to keep going. They push beyond the veil of acceptable thinking, and that's still who we are today. In a post-modernist world, we have come to believe that what is wrong in one situation may not be wrong in another. That's the Jean Valjean argument. Is it wrong to steal a loaf of bread to feed a starving child? No. Good and evil are not fixed ideas dictated by an external force. Except the trouble with postmodernist thinking is that once we acknowledge that there is no universal good and no universal evil, we risk losing track of the reality that good and evil exist. It's not wrong to steal bread to feed a starving child. But now, what's that baker supposed to do with the loss of income that he needed to feed his child? Our challenge, the challenge of Unitarian Universalism in the 21st century, is to move beyond fixed ideas of good and evil without losing track of the impact that good and evil have in our world. Instead of answering the question of humanity's essential nature in terms of good and evil, Unitarian Universalism has declared humanity to be inherently worthy, deserving a baseline of dignity. We affirm the inherent worth and dignity of all people. That doesn't mean that we let people run amok, causing harm and chaos. It means that when we hold them accountable for harmful actions, we treat them with dignity, because justice matters for everyone involved when there is harm. If actions could be considered good, evil, or neutral depending on the situation, how then could we be born good, evil, or neutral? The anxiety over being good or bad can be crushing. There are so many schools of thought on how to determine what is good and what is bad, and whether we are essentially good or bad. I barely scratched the surface of the West's greatest hits there, and there are other ideas that deserve attention. I chose to highlight the ones that have most directly influenced the development of Unitarian Universalism. I propose today that we stop carrying around the weight of philosophies to which we are not beholden. I know that is easier said than done, but we need to be reminded. We're not born good or evil or maybe even neutral. I think the most honest answer is we don't know. We don't know if some of us are born wired towards actions that cause harm and if others are born wired toward altruism. Maybe one day we'll know. There's some interesting studies, but we don't know. So let's just take it off the table and focus instead on being born worthy. I'm confident in saying that Unitarian Universalism has this right. We are born with inherent worth and dignity, and that is enough. We are enough. We always have, and we always will, fall short of our aspirations as a species, as individuals. How could we call that being inherently broken or in need of fixing if it's a part of our nature? We are the way we are, and that is good enough. Worthy. Unitarian Universalism draws wisdom from the world's religions, and many of those religions include the concept of grace. In Christianity, our direct parent tradition, grace is understood to be the freely given, unearned, undeserved love of God. Judaism has a pretty similar definition. Various branches of Hinduism also frequently invoke the concept of grace. Buddhism also includes the concept that all humans are worthy of love, kindness, and respect simply because we exist. Not exactly the same, but pretty close. These concepts, this is the basis of the first principle of Unitarian Universalism, which so astutely sidesteps the question of whether we are inherently good or evil, because we're neither. If we know that the moral valence of an action varies with the situation and the context, and our perspective of right and wrong changes over time, how could we be called good or bad? We can't be inherently good or bad, but we are inherently worthy. And that's enough. Good enough. This holiday season, like all holiday seasons, is just full of messages about what we're supposed to be, what our lives are supposed to be like, what our families are supposed to be like, whether or not we fit in. Nothing makes me more irritable than this theology of Santa Claus only brings toys to good kids. What is that? That makes me nuts. I mean, granted, I didn't grow up with Santa Claus, but I just find it very upsetting that kids feel so anxious of whether or not they've been good enough to get something. Can we talk about poverty and the pressure that puts on parents to make their kids feel like they were good throughout the year? It's terrible. We got to stop doing this to ourselves. I want to fortify us all against that nonsense. It is toxic. It comes from and reinforces those old ideas of an externally imposed gold standard that we will always fail to reach. It was meant to keep us on a treadmill. It's just not true. There is nothing wrong with you. You have a place in the family of things. You matter. You are worthy now. You're good enough now. You always have been. And you know that deep in your heart. May it be so. Go now into the world as a beacon of hope and joy. Go in love, go in peace. Now that our worship has ended, our service begins. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.